We knew full well that Night of Champions would have a lot of chaos, but a lot of history being made, and they proved us right. There are no words to describe Night of Champions because today's event. I said it before in my prediction video on Tuesday. I'll say it again. This was basically the continuation of the road to SummerSlam, and now we know. Now we know what the card is going to look like as we get closer and closer to SummerSlam. So without any further ado, here are the results of Night of Champions. Kicking these off is the King of the Ring Tournament Finals. Former Legacy members, best friends, brothers, had become over time the bitterest of enemies. The Viper, Randy Orton, and the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. This was honestly the version of Cody Rhodes that we saw in that match. We didn't expect. We did not expect to see Cody Rhodes go after the lower back of Randy Orton after Randy Orton hit Cody Rhodes with that superplex, which we knew Randy hitting that superplex would become Randy's detriment, and it did indeed become that. He even almost at one point almost hit Cody Rhodes with the punt. And there was even a moment where we saw Cody Rhodes attempt the disaster kick, countered into an RKO out of nowhere, but not even that was enough. And this, again, we knew that both these guys were going to tear each other apart. They knew that they were going to bring the fight, and they did just that. But at the final moments, Cody Rhodes pushed Randy Orton rib first onto the exposed top turnbuckle, which allowed Cody to hit Randy with crossroads to win the King of the Ring tournament. And now we know that it will be Cody Rhodes challenging for the WWE title at SummerSlam. But the question is, will it be against John Cena, or will it be against CM Punk? Well, if you guys did not watch Night of Champions, you'll have to tune into this video to find out. Next up is a Riyadh Boulevard street fight, as they were calling it, between Rhea Ripley and, of course, Raquel Rodriguez. Excuse me. It was a battle of the mommies. Obviously, I'm talking about the original mommy being Rhea Ripley and big mommy cool Raquel Rodriguez. This was honestly not what we expected. I think the way the match was presented to us, you would think that the match would have been better. I guess in my personal opinion, we kind of figured that because that Roxanne Perez got involved in the match, you would think that someone would have stepped up to save Rhea, but it just was not meant to be. But there was a time about 5, maybe 10 minutes into the match, Rhea Ripley got caught in between the ropes, which allowed Raquel Rodriguez to beat the holy hell out of Rhea, just literally busting ribs. Absolutely crazy. Obviously Roxanne Perez got involved, breaking the Prism trap submission that Rhea has used to win so many of her matches in NXT. But even with Roxanne Perez it was not enough for it was not enough to stop Rhea Ripley as the Eradicator from atop of the from atop of a table that was on the top turnbuckle, hits Raquel Rodriguez with Riptide to pick up a very well-deserved victory, which could potentially put her in line back into the women's world title picture, which is very possible. But again, we're still on the road to Evolution. We still got, we still have Saturday night's main event to deal with. We've got NXT Great American Bash coming up. So between now and SummerSlam, the women's world title picture is still up in the air, but we'll have to wait and see. But next up, Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross. This is Kross's first PLE match in one-on-one competition, mind you. In one-on-one competition, I want to say since 2022, if I remember right. Yeah, I believe so. I believe it was 2022 was the last time that we saw Karrion Kross in a one-on-one PLE matchup, but just a PLE overall, you know, where the spotlight was on him. Pre Royal Rumble earlier this year, because I believe he competed in the men's Rumble. He wasn't a part of a PLE since WrestleMania 40 last year. So think about that, guys. That right there is a lot to consider. But obviously the fans wanted to see Karrion Kross get a major push. They wanted to see Kross get that big spotlight, and he did. WWE gave the fans what they wanted, which was Karrion Kross on a big spotlight, such as United Champions. Excuse me. And against a former WrestleMania main eventer, nonetheless, in the form of Sami Zayn. Which, this rivalry, it had been very confusing, to say the very least. Not just confusing, but very interesting to, you know, as well, because we knew that Kross wanted Sami Zayn to go back to his heel ways, you know, back to a time when he once called himself the Great Liberator and said that there was a conspiracy against him, and that, you know, and back to the days where he joined the bloodline, the OG bloodline, if you will, that featured himself, Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, the Usos, and Paul Heyman. So Kross wanted Sami Zayn to revert back to that version of Sami Zayn, but that's the thing, right? Obviously, when it comes to Karrion Kross, heel turns often take some time. Look at New Day. Look at Drew McIntyre, Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles. Who else can I name? Just to name a few, you know, all these guys that I mentioned, at some point within a maximum of a year, the maximum was a full calendar year, they ended up turning heel. With a guy like Sami Zayn, the only reason why he turned heel was because they needed a major heel player in WWE during the pandemic, and the fans knew that it was never going to be Brock Lesnar, because Brock Lesnar, after WrestleMania that weekend during the pandemic, we didn't see him for over a year away from WWE, and he went at it on his own. No advocate, no fans booing him. He legit was at it on his own at that time. So they figure, okay, you know what? If we're gonna have a major heel player, you know, in WWE, through the entire COVID era, if you will, Sami Zayn fit the bill. And then once fans started to come back, obviously that was when Sami Zayn joined up with the Bloodline and started the slow process of planting the seeds within the breakup of the Bloodline, which to which once Roman Reigns inducted Paul Heyman into the Hall of Fame last year during WrestleMania weekend last year in Philly, he legit said, he said the day you see me will be the day that you see me without my wise man, I think he said the day you don't see me with my wise man will be the day that you will no longer see the tribal chief. And once Roman Reigns regained the Ulafala was when we knew that the entire Bloodline story was basically dead. But Solo Sikoa over the last this whole year alone, this whole year in 2025, he's been trying to bring that back. But we'll get to that in just a bit. But as far as Sami goes, again, that's what Karrion Kross has been wanting to do to Sami for weeks now. And this victory that Sami has had over Kross proves that Sami Zayn, he ain't gonna be doing jack shit. Big congrats to Sami Zayn on an incredible victory over another former NXT champion, the former Karrion Kross. Obviously using a haluva kick when Kross did not expect it. Obviously, I don't think Kross is ever gonna let this go, but we'll have to wait and see. But speaking of the Bloodline, next up, a Bloodline divided once again between Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu, this time for the United States title. This is all because of the fact that Solo got bitter and jealous by the fact that this is the third consecutive WrestleMania where he wasn't even on the card. He wasn't even scheduled to be on the card whatsoever. The first 2 years ago at WrestleMania 38 here in my hometown of LA inside SoFi Stadium, and then last year obviously in Philly, this past April in Las Vegas. In Las Vegas, his own hometown. Ironic. How ironic. Obviously, Jacob Fatu defeated LA Knight to win the United States title in crazy fashion. I will say it was crazy fashion to see Jacob Fatu win his first championship in WWE almost a year into his time on SmackDown. So this led to Solo Sikoa showing a lot of resentment towards Jacob Fatu, and everything kind of boiled over the moment we got the backlash, because we saw Jeff Cobb or JC Mateo debut in WWE, helping Jacob Fatu retain the United States title in the Fatal 4-Way that Jacob had against LA Knight, Damian Priest, and Drew McIntyre, which that match alone was just crazy. And then it just boiled over going into Money in the Bank, right? Going into the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, where we saw Solo Sikoa attempt to climb the ladder, but Jacob grabbed his leg, and was like, "Bro, I hate you." Started beating down on Solo, and this boiled over to obviously today with Night of Champions. I did not think that Jacob Fatu would want this matchup, knowing full well that Solo had a trick up his sleeve, and that trick was obviously JC Mateo. But what we didn't realize was that Solo had two more tricks up his sleeve. The first was the return of Tonga Loa, and we had not seen him since War Games last November. But the second, and this is one that we knew it was going to happen because we had seen him in dark matches on SmackDown via social media, and it was the long-awaited debut of Hikuleo, who is the brother, if you will, of both Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, and I believe WWE have filed a trademark to change Hikuleo's name, to which I believe they changed it to something else. Hikuleo. I believe they changed it to something else, if I remember correctly. I don't remember. It was supposed to be something else. It was supposed to be it was supposed to be some Tonga's like Loa something, something like that. Tonga something, um, Tonga Leo or something like that. I think that's what it's supposed to be. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, Hikuleo hits Jacob Fatu with a massive choke slam onto the announce table, which allowed Solo Sikoa to hit Jacob Fatu with a spike to win the United States title. So this makes Solo's second championship ever in WWE, but his first on the main roster. And here's the crazy thing. Here's the crazy thing. Solo had been on the main roster since the fall of 2022. Think about that, guys. The fall of 2022. So that's well over 3 years, close to 3 years on the main roster, and he finally wins his first title on the main roster in WWE. I can honestly say that when Tama Tonga I can't speak. When Tama Tonga actually does return, I can guarantee you that this new bloodline, with the addition of Hikuleo and Jeff Cobb, this version will be the most dangerous and the most deadly version of the bloodline we had seen in a very long time. And I can honestly say Solo might just end up becoming the guy to reunite, to potentially bring back the bloodline story as we know it, which is possible. But I think without the Ulafala, I think it's safe to say that the bloodline story is dead. But as of now, that's entirely up to Solo. But next up, we've got the Queen of the Ring tournament that featured Jade Cargill and Asuka in a match that the rivalry between Cargill and Asuka, and I don't think I mentioned this in my prediction video on Tuesday, but this goes all the way back to last year, where Jade Cargill literally had her in-ring debut in the Women's Royal Rumble match. She then aligned herself with Bianca Belair and Naomi, forming the Big Three to take on Damage Control, which the group is no longer. Obviously the group has been disbanded. All the members of Damage Control have gone their separate ways, which I may or may not talk about that in a future video. could be tomorrow. It could be any day. So be sure to be on the lookout for that video. But you look at WrestleMania last year in Philly. Jade Cargill pinned Dakota Kai. I believe she pinned Dakota Kai. If I remember correctly, Yep, I was right. I was right. Jade Cargill hit Dakota Kai with Jaded to pick up the victory over Damage Control. This led to Jade and Bianca getting getting an opportunity at the women's tag team titles against the Kabuki Warriors, and Asuka got hurt during that match. Asuka clearly did not forget about that moment, and she herself targeted Jade's knee in her own way. This was a back and forth matchup. Both had a lot on the line. Literally, what was on the line was a dream match no one expected. For for Jade Cargill, it would be a dream match against Tiffany Stratton. For Asuka, Io Sky. This went back and forth, and we knew that both women were going to lay it out all on the line, just leave it all in the ring, and in fact, they did just that. But in the final moments, Jade Cargill hit Asuka with Jaded to win Queen of the Ring. Excuse me, and now we know that it will be Jade Cargill versus Tiffany Stratton at SummerSlam for the WWE Women's title. That brings us to the main event for the WWE title between CM Punk and John Cena, a rivalry that goes back over a decade. Think about that, guys. Over a decade. There are no words to describe this rivalry. I mean, we saw not just last night, but last week on SmackDown, where John Cena delivered his own version of the CM Punk pipe bomb, absolutely wild. Then last night on SmackDown, we saw CM Punk go from being the best in the world to basic punkonomics, and literally told John Cena that he was gonna go full blown Kendrick Lamar on John Cena, claiming Cena Punk's Drake. Absolutely crazy. An insane pipe bomb by CM Punk on literally to John Cena last night on SmackDown, which obviously led to tonight. This was an instant classic. We knew that both men were going, again, much like with the Queen of the Ring tournament, much like the King of the Ring tournament, these two men laid it all on the line, laid it in the ring, and in the final moments, the final 10-15 minutes of the match, it went from being a simple instant classic to pure chaos. As CM Punk was about to pin John Cena, even with the referee down, out comes Seth Rollins with Braun Breaker, with Bronson Reed, with Paul Heyman, and with the Money in the Bank briefcase, telling both Reed and Breaker, "Hey, get him, take him out." This led to Penta showing up. This led to Sami Zayn showing up, and all those men just beating the holy hell out of each other. Punk and Cena fending off, fending off Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. Obviously, Cena hit Bronson Reed with an attitude adjustment, which was insane. I mean, Cena weighs 251 pounds. Bronson Reed is 330. Bronson Reed is a big, meaty man. That is what he is. He is what I like to call the Big E special. That is what it is right there. And we knew that Punk had respect for Cena, tried to shake his hand. Cena did, embraced him, but it all backfired. As Cena tried to go for the low blow, which allowed Punk to try to pull off some form of offense, and this allowed Punk to hit. Sorry, not Punk. Allowed Seth to hit Punk with the stomp. Gets pushed out of the way by Cena, and goes for the cover. And thus John Cena walks out still WWE champion. in my opinion, I feel like Seth Rollins could have could have cashed in, making the match a triple threat. But at the same time, at, at the same time, it was basically a triple whammy for Seth Rollins because he had a chance to cash in. He had three options. He could either cash in and walk out WWE champion, screw CM Punk out of the title, or screw John Cena out of the title. He literally chose to screw CM Punk out of the title instead of screwing John Cena. Because if he had screwed John Cena out of the title, Seth could have cashed in Money in the Bank and screwed CM Punk out of the title himself, making it a double whammy. But instead, Seth ended up choosing the latter, which could potentially lead to Punk going after Seth Rollins alongside Sami Zayn and Penta, which is very possible. But we will have to wait and see. But we now know that it will be the rematch from WrestleMania 41, as Cody Rhodes will challenge John Cena for the WWE title. And on that note, that will do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys want more WWE PLE predictions and results in the future, then be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and as always, make sure you guys are following me on all of my social media. All of my ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.